Okay, hi everyone. Thank you for joining us this Saturday afternoon for our Future of series, or what we call the FOS engagement. My name is Nazri, and I'm from the Future Ready department of Yayasan Mendaki, and together with my colleague Sarah, will be your MC and moderator for today's FOS on transport engineering. Next slide, please. Okay, to ensure a smooth and pleasant session for everyone, we seek your cooperation to observe the following housekeeping rules. You may unmute yourself if you wish to speak during the Q&A session, but do remember to mute the microphone back right after that. And if you are logged on using a laptop, you may wish to switch your viewers to speakers mode on the top right-hand corner of your screen. Next slide. And joining us today, our two speakers, Mr. Mulyadi and Ms. Sabrina. They'll be sharing some insights on the transportation landscape, particularly the railway landscape in Singapore, and they will be answering some of your questions later. But before that, please allow me to share a few messages from Mendaki's Future Ready team. Findings from the annual survey by National Youth Council reveals that jobs and the future of work remains one of the top concerns amongst youth in Singapore. Others include mental well-being, support for the vulnerable, and environment and sustainability. So over at Future Ready Department in Mendaki, we strategize our work to address most of those concerns to prepare our Malay Muslim youth to be resilient and future ready. And we do that by highlighting education and career pathways for youths to make informed decisions upon graduation. We partner youths in their education by bridging them to beneficial national and community initiatives. And we engage and empower youths to maximize their potential and be active contributing citizens. Next slide. So it is through programs such as these that we connect with youth to keep them abreast of the ever-changing future landscape. These platforms also serve as opportunities for us to nudge them towards developing in-demand competencies and enhancing their social capital through networking and volunteering in community programs. Next slide. So over the past 2 years, what we have witnessed is how a tiny virus not visible to the naked eye is able to change the way we learn and work. New opportunities will also arise from geographical and political factors. One valuable lesson that COVID taught us is that the road ahead is indeed filled with uncertainties, and as we transition into an endemic, it is timely to shift our mindsets and diversify our skill sets towards resilience against the volatile future. And the next slide. I'll just be sharing some stories, inspiring stories by these people. Some of them will be familiar to you. So in 1985, Steve Jobs was fired from his own company, but refusing to meet a dead end, he continuously seeks for ideas on what can be done better for the company he started. 12 years later, he returned and saved Apple from the brink of bankruptcy. So because of Steve Jobs' optimism and malleable mindset, today we get to enjoy the many sleek Apple products. Susan Wojcicki originally planned on getting a PhD in economics and pursuing a career in academia. But when she discovered an interest in technology, she made the bold move to change her plans and took a leap of faith into an unfamiliar terrain. She is now the CEO of YouTube with over 2 billion active monthly subscribers. And the last profile, somewhat closer to home, he is Mohammad Imran Mian, a student in IT College West, who is passionate in community work and helping the less fortunate. So driven by that passion, he connected with families, friends, and even strangers to set up I Am Volunteer Network SG. Beyond helping the needy, he provided opportunities for his peers to hone their human skills. Within a year, I Am Volunteer Network SG successfully conducted more than 50 charity initiatives. So what the two of them have in common actually the growth mindset, courage, and strong collaborative network. Regardless of your background and your purpose, having these can help you navigate the uncertain future better and hopefully thrive in it as well. In his National Day rally speech this year, Prime Minister Lee said that Singapore has already survived its worst economic crisis since independence and must now change gears. And with that, I will end with this quote that succinctly sums up my sharing from earlier. So now, moving forward, it's my pleasure to introduce you to our speakers for today. Personally, I believe that both of them have these 3 skills that I mentioned earlier: growth mindset, courage, and collaborative networking. So a believer in lifelong learning, to upgrade himself, Mulyadi went through the longer route in his education pathway, from ITE to a graduate with a Bachelor of Engineering in NUS. He went on to build his career over the past 20 years and is currently holding a key role in SMRT's Thomson East Coast Line. And next speaker is Sabrina. So one of the most common misconceptions of engineering is it's a predominantly male field of work. But Sabrina is here to change that narrative. She represents the 50% of women in Singapore who graduated with STEM qualifications and remain in a related career. Keeping herself abreast of developments and in-demand skills to remain relevant in the sector, she honed her competencies in big data architecture and advanced data analytics. Sabrina is currently working on a project to digitalize the real asset management system. So, Mulyadi and Sabrina, welcome to our Future of series.
Hey, thank you. Thank you, Nazri. Thank you, Sarah.
Hi, good afternoon. Have you had your lunch? Or late lunch? Or
yes.
Much later lunch? Okay, so I guess all of them, we have how many? About 14 participants here who is ready to listen to your story. I mean, to get some insights from your sharing on the transportation system in transportation landscape in Singapore, I would say, and particularly both of you are very well versed in the railway system. So without further ado, we will go with the first topic for today, and I will hand over the time to both speakers to share on the journey of on becoming an engineer. Take it away.
Okay. All right. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Nazri, okay, you can hear me? Can you hear me? Okay, thank you. Okay, let me just, hi everyone. Thank you for joining this session today. I hope you guys, like what Nazri, had your lunch. Okay, it's really 3 p.m. I'm sure everyone has their lunch. Okay, without further ado, let me just go through my slides for today. Okay. Okay, my name is Mulyadi. I'm currently with SMRT Thomson East Coast Line. I have worked with SMRT for almost 20 years. It's already 20 years. I've been there since 2001. Previously, I was in the North South East West line, the red and green line. So now I'm with the brown line. If you happen to see the color codes of all our rail lines. I began my career back then in 2001. Okay, so I began my career in 2001. Back then, I was in ITE studying electrical installation and servicing. Nothing to do in railway. Okay, nothing to do. I didn't have any vision in railway back then. So as after I graduated from ITE, then I stumbled upon a chance to join SMRT. So that is when I joined SMRT, and when I started working, I continued my education journey where I studied mechatronics in Temasek Poly, followed by studying a Bachelor in Industrial Management Engineering at the National University of Singapore. So it was tough studying part-time, but it's not impossible for those people out there who wish to continue your study. So that's a picture of me, a very old school, very classic picture of me. Okay, so it all began in the year 2001. I was only a technical officer back then when I joined SMRT. So as I progress in the organization, I see that there are many opportunities for one to be not only to harness their skill, but to also gain knowledge. And as you gain your knowledge, I also think that it's important that we try to portray ourselves as someone who is contributing to the organization. Okay, so as I work aggressively, I think working hard is one important factor. I continued, and I think the company also sees that I am a value to the organization. That is when I started to take on more responsibilities in my role. So I grew from technical officer until manager role, engineer role, then to a manager role, until I'm now a senior project manager in the Thomson East Coast Line. just some of the things that I do. Okay, I think back then as a technician, of course, there are a lot of maintenance activities where you actually deal in preventive maintenance, corrective maintenance. As you want to make the system better, you need to maintain. So one of the key job scope that I did back then was to actually maintain the equipments. I am maintaining the signaling and communication systems. I think in the railway industry itself, there are a lot of systems. Okay, you have systems like the rolling stock, power system, permanent way. These are the different and quite generic functions of the railway. So I am in the signaling system. Okay, signaling system in short, it is how a train is made to move automatically, safely by controls. Okay, so signaling is a system that controls all the automatic movement within a network, so that the train can arrive on time. Okay. Also, the platform screen doors that you see. Okay, I am also in charge of the platform screen doors specifically for the Thomson East Coast Line. Okay. These are, I think, some of the previous work that I do. I collaborate with a lot of people in SMRT, especially the technicians, the engineers. I think these are important people that also make me progress in my career. Okay, I think these are some of the roles that I also do. Okay, I think tunnels, rail tracks. These are some of the systems in you can find in railway. Okay, I think other than that, I also involved in talks within my organization overseas, as well as with schools. I usually am asked to engage with schools, ITE, the polytechnics, as well as universities. And I think this is important that as I grow in the industry, I think it's also important to share my knowledge so that it becomes a guide. Because back then I feel that there wasn't much sharing, there wasn't much guidance in our community. So I think it is one of the good ways that Mendaki is doing, so that we are able to share what we have learned in the industry. Okay, with that, I hand over to Sabrina.
Thanks, Biladi, for sharing. Maybe for Sabrina starts, maybe I can just add on a little bit. If our participants here have any questions that you would like to ask the speaker regarding this particular topic, just feel free to type it out on the chat function, and we'll pick it up when we see it. Thank you. Sorry, Sabrina, over to you.
It's okay. Okay, so hi everybody. Thanks for having me here today. So I'm Sabrina, and I'll be sharing on my education journey and what I do in LTA. Just a point that I don't have as much experience as Mulyadi, but I hope it's still insightful today. Yeah. So this is my education journey. So upon graduation from O levels, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I chose mechanical engineering in SP because it was more broad as compared to like a specialized engineering course. And also I enjoyed like doing math in school. So I just decided to pursue that. And I continued my studies in uni as well, in mechanical design and manufacturing engineering. So in uni, they actually had a career fair where there was a lot of companies involved, and LTA was one of them. And that was when I submitted my resume to them, and I accepted the offer when I passed the interview. And I joined them in 2016 in August. So I'm an executive engineer today with the asset management data analytics team. Yeah. So going back a little bit on my education journey, these are just some of the highlights that I would like to share. There are a lot of fun experiences in poly and uni, and these experiences helps you to like explore and also further deepen your knowledge in the course itself lah. Yeah, and you have a lot of fun collaborating with a lot of people from your classmates to your schoolmates as well. And also I was able to intern in China as well as visit Newcastle University in the UK for an immersion program. So that was really fun. Yeah. So now on to what I do in LTA. This slide is a bit wordy, but just to sum up, my team is under this umbrella called Real Asset Operations and Maintenance. And our main purpose is to manage and oversee all the existing real assets as asset owner because of the new real financing framework that was announced by the government. So we ensure that the asset replacement and the asset condition and performance are met, and also to meet the availability and reliability targets. So for my team, we are part of the project to design and also to test and commission an enterprise asset management system with data analytics capabilities. So the main aim of this system is to predict a fault before it occurs, optimize maintenance and operation activities, and also manage the reliability, cost, and risk through timely interventions. Yeah, so that's just a brief introduction of what I do in LTA. So other than my main core work, there are also a lot of opportunities outside for you to develop other skills. So through the involvement of being in forums or the organizing team or also the secretariat teams, you get to meet a lot of people ranging from like overseas operators, local operators like SMRT or SBST, and also like different vendors. So it's very exciting actually. And also next, joining LTA, I didn't have like full background on data analytics. So the team actually encourages us to join a lot of courses and also sit in seminars to listen and learn what others are doing so that we can implement them into our system as well. And lastly, it's not just all work in LTA, you also get to have a lot of fun. So some of the things that I joined are like tournaments. There are also activities that LTA plan for us, like team building activities or dinner and dance. I'm sure that's across all companies. But most importantly, I think it's good that you have colleagues who turn friends so that you can hang out after work and like wind down. Yeah. So yeah. So with that, yeah, it concludes my sharing. I hope it's slightly insightful. Thank you.
Right, thank you, Sabrina. Yep, that's insightful. If I look at the timeline just now, it says about 10 years. Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot. Okay, just for everyone's information, there are a lot of participants here. So the profile of these participants actually it ranges from upper secondary students, and some of you are even professionals in engineering as well. So I've not, maybe you're still shy, need to take a bit warming up for them to ask some questions. But in the meantime, I am pretty sure this question is in somebody's head somewhere, at least for the secondary school students who is probably thinking, should I do engineering, should I not? What is that push for you to say, okay, engineering is it? Or how will you convince somebody to say to go into engineering? Maybe Mulyadi can take this one.
I think was that for myself, I wasn't even sure. Like I think like what Sabrina said, I wasn't even sure what I wanted to do back then. I think almost everyone in some parts of their early life, they may not exactly know. No, maybe back then when our parents or even us, what you want to be, or doctor, teacher, anything. But then you don't really. That is something that is a dream. I should put it as this way. But then, as you grow, and then as you come to realization, I think you start to think more. I think for me, I was also back then. I was also doing a lot of. I became open to engineering. It just started off with just simple things in the house. I think. Some DIY functions, some repairing, to repair your light and all that. So it started my spark in there. So that is when I started to learn how to use multimeter. I became more and more curious. I think it started from there, and then how simple things like switches, button, how they work. So it started from there. So that was when I realized that maybe this is something that I find it interesting. I wanted to find more. I think it all started from there. So that was when the opportunity came for me to join SMRT. I thought that maybe it would also help me to gain more knowledge. I think back then I was only wanting to know and learn. So it all sparked from there. So from there, then I realized that becoming an engineer is not easy. It's challenging. But then with all the education, I think even as we speak right now, we try to find out more things. We are curious. I think the more curious you are, I think it's easier for you to understand things better. So it all started from there. I think it's just curiosity and wanting to know. Yeah.
I see. Okay, I get that totally. But being curious and not knowing what you wanted, even if I recall just now, Sabrina mentioned that after O levels, she's not sure what she want to take, and she decides to choose mechanical engineering. I guess it's a common experience that most youth or most students feel after our O level, after our N level. I'm one of them actually. I don't know what I want to do after that, and you kind of get drifted away in life, like the current. But what is it that calls you into into the engineering actually? I mean, if you may share a bit on that. Sabrina, can you hear me?
Yes. Sorry, can you repeat your question? Why did I continue engineering?
Yeah, I mean, like, out of all the many courses that's available in Singapore, like, what pushes you into the engineering? Like, is there something that calls you in? I mean, like, is it a friend, an influence, or somebody in your family is an engineer, and it's like, okay, let's just follow this person?
Oh, okay. Actually, for me, because I guess in school I enjoyed problem solving, and I think in engineering there's a lot of that. Actually, in secondary school, I didn't really have a lot of hands-on experiences also, whether it is just building something or anything. So I decided that it will be good to explore a new field. And furthermore, it's great that if you are able to enjoy some of the modules, because when you're in school, you're really studying a lot. So being able to enjoy a certain topic or module, I think it would help also. Then why I continued to pursue all the way, I guess, is because I enjoyed it a lot, and also a lot of my friends are also doing engineering together. So somehow maybe some influence are also in play lah. So I guess that's some of the few reasons why I chose mechanical engineering or engineering as a whole.
I see. Thank you for that. What I'm hearing is actually sometimes you do not choosing what your pathway is actually not something that it can be planned, but sometimes you can get the hints from everyday activities, your passion, what you like to do, and that's how you can actually get the clue that, hey, maybe I'm suited for this, or maybe I'm suited for that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a very good tip actually. Thank you so much. We have a question from I saw just some Muzakir, I think. So he asked for both speakers. But what are some examples of problems you are solving at your work now? It's more problem solving, or maybe if I can rephrase this, the challenges you face at work.
Maybe we start with Mulyadi first.
I think in at work, okay, I think at work definitely there are many challenges. Those that even that are even not taught in school, or even you have never experienced before. These are some of the things that you will definitely encounter in work life. But the most important thing is how you tackle the issue. It may not really resolve the issue, but then it is how you even start to tackle the problem. There are things that are not taught in school. Even the number of experience you have, you may not be able to solve a problem. But then, definitely with wanting to eliminate or even to resolve the issue, I'm sure you will find a way to do it.
Would you have any interesting question, any interesting problem? Somebody is asking any interesting problems. Like, okay, maybe you can say, you can look into what, just give one example, maybe. Is that like a track issue or something that you have managed recently?
Okay, I think of course there are examples like technical issues, things that don't work, things that is supposed to function but it doesn't function. So that is where your troubleshooting skill, as an engineer, of course, you need some technical skills. How do you read a circuit diagram and all that? These are some of the issues. So I think I find this kind of technical faults. At times it is quite interesting. At times it's challenging. But then these are some of the interesting faults or problems that I find it interesting. It's just you are using your skill set, looking at circuits, trying to measure the voltage and all that. These are some of the interesting problems that I have encountered so far. Yep.
Sabrina, what about you?
Maybe we at least touched on the technical portion. Maybe I can just touch on like people portion. Because as an engineer, you also work with a lot of people. And for example, in my project, we work with our contractors as well as our stakeholders. So we always need to find like a balance to meet the requirements of the stakeholders and also like push our contractors to ensure that they deliver as per what is required. So I think developing some sort of skill in project management is also part of an engineer's job lah. So this is actually still a challenge even for me today, because sometimes the contractors can be very hard to deal with. So we need to know how to strike a balance and like set certain boundaries. Yeah, so that's my take on some challenging stuff that I experienced.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe if I can also add, I think like what you're saying, example, I'm just giving Sabrina as an example. She is a mechanical engineer. She's of course going through all the university and all that. But you may also end up with not really doing something that you study. So this is something. Yeah, this is in life. You may be studying something, but then you may be doing something else that once you found a job. But then it doesn't really, you really have to see balance the importance. So sometimes you may not end up with your dream job, but then the most important thing is to at least start off with an education. Then from there, things will open up for you. You after that, you will be doing some other things. You will be dealing with people, you'll be dealing with contractors. So this is I think some of the things that you need to understand.
So essentially the foundation is important, right? For everything that we do, it will be applied eventually when you come to work. Of course, when you start working, it will be like you learn new things every day and you tend to pick up things as you go along, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, all right. See, we have another question here. Do you guys ever fear? Oh, sorry, we go to Hazmi bin Rahmat. What is the day-to-day job as a transport engineer? Office hours, shift work. So this would be Sabrina first.
Okay, so for myself, I'm working office hours. So it's like 8:30 to 6. And most of the time you're in the office, except now because of COVID, we are working from home, except there are like some schedules where we have to go back to the office. So day to day, we are doing a lot of document reviews because of the milestone that we are at now at our project. So we also do a lot of testing, and also the testing is to ensure that the system runs as per the development and as per the design specifications lah. Yeah, so if there's anything that we come across that is wrong during the testing, then we will raise a problem report or defect for rectification. Yeah, so on some days we do that, some days we attend a lot of meetings, and on some days we will also go down to like the depot or the station to actually collect data, because our system that we're working on is very data driven. So we have to collect the data manually for now, and then we would have to then feed them into the system. So every day varies, and every day gets pretty dynamic sometimes. Yeah.
That's good. You do a few different things every day. That's it.
Yeah.
You can learn a few other things, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yes, that's good. Mulyadi, what about you?
Okay, I think this question is interesting. Okay, it depends. Actually, it depends on how you look at it, things. Maybe I'll just give you an example. Maybe Takashimaya, the department store. What do you think? What do you think the shift system is? Department store that is serving, shoppers. That. So, what do you think the shift system is? Is it an office hour job? Is it a roster job? So likewise for engineering, likewise for if you're in the transport industry, it depends where you are. If you are you're dealing with the station operations, you're dealing with the train controls and all that. Of course, you need to. The important thing is the passengers and the commuters. So it's how what time does the train start to run? What time does the train start to end? So of course, you need to. Some of the departments need to be working in shift. Like for myself, I'm office hour, but then I also have to work during. We call it the engineering hours when everyone is asleep, when the trains are no longer moving. So these are the important or the key time. They are very short hours that you can do your testing and commissioning. Example for my case, we're doing the Thomson Nichols line. There are some moments that you need to the testing can only be done during the engineering hours. When the train is sleeping, when everyone is also sleeping. So like I said, so it's again like what I said. It depends on the job. 7-Eleven is open for 24 hours. Do you think they work for 24 hours? Yeah. So it depends. Yeah.
Okay, we hope that answers some of the questions. I see more coming in. That's good. We will probably save some for the other topics, but in the meantime, let's move on to topic 2, which is about the transportation landscape in Singapore. So generally for me, when we talk about transportation landscape in Singapore, there's lots of changes. I mean, we see not only roads but even like connectors. Because I have a transportation system in Singapore that is changed to fit a certain the lifestyle, for example, in our nation itself. I mean, earlier we were just talking, we chatted about how everybody moved to online shopping, and then we go to our Shoppees and our Grab deliveries and all that to get to make sure that you basically don't leave home and people have to come to you. And because of that, there are a lot of more cars, more bicycles, and PMDs and all those electronics vehicle on the road. So I guess along the way, the government is still making some shift to transportation landscape that is on the roads and say the pavements. But probably what can you share about the transportation landscape in terms of the railway system in Singapore? Mulyadi or Sabrina? Let's type Sabrina.
So I guess like you touched on the expansion of the path for cyclists, perhaps because they are delivering or like sending groceries or something. But similarly, I think Singapore has this like Green Plan 2030, where actually some of the plans include expanding the rail network as well. So I think with this expansion, they aim to actually bring the MRT stations closer to I think like 8 out of 10 households in Singapore. So this transportation shift where they are encouraging Singaporeans to choose public transport over taking your own vehicles, I think that's one of the more prominent change in the transportation landscape. I think secondly, I just also want to touch on because of the nature of my project, because it's very data driven. And I think not only in transportation, but everywhere, people are leveraging more on like data and also using like data enabled insights to kind of like strengthen the management of your real assets. for real, and also the performance lah. So when you are able to kind of like predict a fault before it happens, at least the maintenance staff would be able to rectify them rather than facing a service disruption, for example. Yeah, so I think this kind of technologies is also a shift in the transportation landscape, and it's also a very exciting time for the transportation landscape. Yeah.
So I guess even the railway is digitalizing itself in Singapore. I mean, we are all moving towards the digital world at this point of time. For Mulyadi, I mean, okay, we're talking about SMRT. I mean, SMRT, I remember back then there were only the simple east-west line and north-south line. I mean, we call it the red line, the green line back then. But now when you look at the map of the SMRT, there's like, it's colorful. So we know for sure that it's evolving. I mean, things are being added on. Maybe you can just share a bit more on this through your lens, or what you over 20 years of experience in working in SMRT. I mean, when you're in SMRT, what you see the changes and what is to come.
Yep, right. You are right there. So back then we only see the red and green line. You know, it all started with Toa Payoh station along that stretch. That was the first line we have in Singapore. So as I think our railway grows, you can see other than the north, south, east, west line, you can also start to see the circle line, you know, the downtown line, and of course with the upcoming new projects like the Thomson East Coast line, and which is now in its second stage. Okay, stage 3, and the next 13th station for Thomson East Coast line is it's opening tentatively in 2022, which is next year. And of course, as the rail extension continues, we also have the Northeast line extension, you know, Downtown Line 3 extension, and we also have two more. From my understanding, we also have two more newer lines extending. That is Jurong Regional Line as well as the Cross Island Line. I think as you can see the landscape of Singapore, I think it's trying to get closer to our homes. You know, even for Thomson East Coast Line, you can also visit places that you have not been to. You know, Springleaf Prata, you know, all those kind of places. Bringing you nearer to nature, Macritchie and all that. So I think if you look at how dynamic our rail is trying to bring people closer to the rail closer to the people, so that, you know, to take public transport as an option to move around our beautiful country in Singapore. Yep.
That's right. So the minute you mentioned Springleaf Prata, I feel like having one right now. Thanks, Mulyadi. Okay, I'm going to take one question from I think Firsh over here. We were talking about how we are moving into the digital world, and probably Firsh have this concern that many of us actually do have this concern, regardless of where we are working at. The fear of technology replacing, probably a wise thing to say, technology replacing the human skill in transport engineering.
So maybe I can add something to that. I think technology, of course, you know, is always advancing. It makes I think the technology will always wants to make things simple for everyone. I think just to share in the north, south, east, west line, I think for almost 25 years of operation, the train had always been operated by humans. Okay, I think what the train captains need to do is actually, you know, maybe just press a button for the trains to move from station A to station B, and then once the station arrive at its destination, you will need to press the button to open the door, and then once passenger exchange, you will need to press another button to close the door and press the button again for the train to move. So the cycle continues for every station. So I think 3 years ago, the North South East Line had the signaling project. So that is when things started to change, technology changed. See, so the trains, instead of needing a train captain to press at every station, it can travel from Pasir Ris to Jurong, you know, without the need to press a button for the train to to start at every station. Even with the door operation also, it does not need technology has helped such that the train can also open and close the door automatically. So this is what we call as technology advancement. It makes things easier. Why we want to do that? So that the trains can move faster, they can depart faster, within the timetable, so that the passengers can get to take the train on time. Okay, so of course, if you ask that, the fear should be at the train captains. What am I going to do? Do they need me to move the train? But then, of course, with this, there are other things that the train captains can do. They are there to ensure safety. I mean, even though the system is safe, they are there to also provide assurance to the train system. So technology, I think, of course, it is always fearful that as we advance into better system, the human factor is always removed. But that may not always be the case. Yep.
So essentially, there will still need we still need the team to be around in that sense to monitor in case of anything like that, right?
Yep, you're right.
Okay.
So I mean, yeah, I mean, I would agree that when as we move, we advance with technology. Definitely, some of the current work right now will become obsolete, and then it will be replaced by something else. So I guess this is very timely for us to recognize that pattern, and whichever sector you are in, whatever your line of work is, to know which direction is heading to, and for you to pick up that skill that is needed for that future job. That is what one of the narrative that actually in Future Ready Mendaki, we always tell youths or anybody that we engage to future proof your career lah. So if you want to stay in that line, find out what are the skills that you need to remain relevant and resilient in that particular line that you're pursuing. So Prisha, I hope that answers your question. Do not fear. There will still be jobs coming for you in transport engineering, even if if you're interested to go in transport engineering. If not, you can always link up with Mulyadi and he will put up a good recommendation for you. Okay, okay. Let's see. Shall we move to the topic 3, which is the future plans?
Okay.
Okay, so in this segment, the third segment, we'll be sharing the speakers will be sharing a lot more on what can you expect in the coming years in the transportation, railway transportation in Singapore, and probably for those of you who decides to pursue this line of work, this could be potentially the projects that you may be working on if you decide to penetrate into this sector. So maybe we can start with Sabrina. What can you share with us?
Sorry, can you repeat your question again? I got lost in the train of thought.
No worries. Okay, so we are moving into the topic on the future plans. Particularly in the railway transportation system in Singapore. So based on what you know or what you're currently working on, and the whether the project can be scaled up later, and what can we expect in your line of work to entice the rest of us.
Yeah, I think other than what Mulyadi shared just now on the other lines that are upcoming, for my line of work on the project that I'm working on, we are definitely scaling up. So right now we're only working on downtown line, which is the blue line, and we're only working on like 6 systems. So like rolling stock, the power system, the signaling system, P-way, and like a few more lah. Yeah, so in terms of scaling up, we are also definitely looking into how we can also apply this system across other lines. So we are looking into doing for Northeast Line and also for the SMRT lines as well. And also we are also working with some of the SMRT people in the data analytics teams, if I'm not wrong. And we are looking on how we can actually kind of like collaborate or see how we can utilize each other's knowledge to scale this up further. So this is one area, definitely the project. Even though it is going to be finished for one line, there are other lines that we can also adopt these rims for yeah. Yeah, so that's for my line of work lah.
How about yourself, Mulyadi?
Yeah, other than I think as what I had previously mentioned, I think Singapore Railway is really expanding all the way until year 2030 and beyond. Even Cross Island line, it's not. I think it's still in the construction stage. Maybe a few. They're also talking about the extension, so you can definitely imagine the amount of with the amount of extension with newer lines. Definitely you need people to not only to maintain but to also sustain the railway industry. So as we speak, I think all this developing. I'm very sure the rail industry is one of the industry that is growing not only in Singapore but in other parts of the world. Yep.
Okay, wait, I'm just open that chat box. I saw some questions just now. Okay, questions. For later. Okay, I guess there's a lot that we can look forward to in terms of the railway in Singapore. I mean, like for me, the clear telltale signs is wherever you go, you will see constructions by the side of the road, and you know that some trains going to happen over there. During this, my telltale signs that there's a lot more stations coming up. Let's talk about the Singapore's green plan. I mean, just Sabrina touched very briefly about Singapore's green plan, and we're talking about sustainability. I have a question that I extracted from the questions when somebody is registered from Muhammad Shafiq. I don't know, Shafiq, if you're here. He asked, what comes to mind in creating a sustainable transport system? Maybe this question I can, whoever's ready to answer.
I think maybe I just read. I think the question is sorry. The question is.
So repeat. What comes to
mind?
What
comes to mind in creating a sustainable transport system? I think sustainable. There are a few areas that you can look at. Sustainable. It can also mean how do you sustain the system? How can you maintain the system to be reliable? How do you sustain it so that it is functioning as what it is supposed to be designed? I think in terms of sustainability, I think one of the important things is how you make it, how you maintain it to be reliable so that it is able to deliver what is supposed to function in terms of train availability, punctuality. I think that is one part of sustainability in the transport system. Yeah.
Do our trains, okay, this is a very noob question. Do our trains causes pollution? I mean, since I mentioned earlier that one of the topic that's of concern of youth today is on the environment and sustainability. So yes, you know, we are all going with the no straws and all those things. So I guess personally, I do not see any. I mean, in Singapore, we do not have those trains with smoke or chimney and all that. But is there any pollutions, or are we working towards a greener plan for the trains in Singapore?
I think, okay, you're right. Definitely, there isn't any train with smoke and all that. I'm sure that looks interesting to have also, actually.
Yeah.
But in terms of in terms of I think every organization has its own how to not to be a contributor of pollution. I think so. Trains itself, yes. I think there are some of the substance use. There are also ensured to be following all the regulations so that it does not really pollute the environment.
Okay. Sabrina, okay. Maybe for those of you who didn't, who missed it earlier, Sabrina is as an executive engineer. Unlike Mulyadi, she is more desk bound. So she looks at data and numbers and all that. She's not on site. But you said you engage with a lot of stakeholders, probably vendors. Is it just solely just on looking at numbers, or do you like materials? Supplies. Like, do you look into that as well?
Yeah, actually, we have a team within my team who looks at the hardware. But because the system that we're working on is like a computer, so like what you see is like on a dashboard, for example. So on the purchase of hardware, it's only like all those like CPU or stuff like that. So we don't have like those like trains, hardware items. So it's a bit like different. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe just to wrap up this topic a bit. Okay. What is your personal each of you, your personal vision of the transportation landscape in Singapore, or rather, putting in simpler terms, what do you wish for the future railway system in Singapore to be like? Something that probably no one thought about it yet, but you want it. You hope it's like that. Beyond connecting us homes closer to the railways and beyond digitalizing all the assets, like what do you think, or what do you aim for it to be?
Free transported. Free transport. Yeah, but I think yes, I think one good area. I think definitely what everyone would love to have is the connectivity, within, maybe from the bus, or even from the your last mile. You are able to, that connectivity is very I think very important, such that you don't have to really wait for long for your next bus, or even how it connects to the next train. So I think the other part is also data, where you are able to even I think now we also have it, but then it can be better. So you can even know what time the bus is coming, and then how it connects to the train. That as simple as that, I think that would be very beneficial for everyone. So that now time is a major factor. I think we want to do more productive things. So if all these things can be integrated together, I'm sure this is one key area that I think Singapore's transportation system can win all the residents. Yeah.
To be as convenient as possible.
Yes, be as convenient.
Like right downstairs.
Yes,
downstairs.
I will go for that.
Like right downstairs, and then it reaches to your workplace, like right at that entrance of the company. That'd be the most happening thing ever.
Like I thought, since they're digging, my son dig further here to your home.
I guess I guess the least.
No, actually it's supposed to be just roll out of your bed only. What the train is there.
Wow, I wish that can happen, but no.
Yeah, I better sleep in something looking good, because there'll be a train passing by my bed every time. Okay, Sabrina, I believe you have a video to share with us on in fact one of the future projects that for LTA. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct. So this project is the project that I've been talking about, which is my project lah. So I guess it would just give a better understanding on what this real enterprise asset management kind of like comprise of, and hopefully that it will be very useful for like the future of like Singapore as well, so that it will be useful for like the operators, and then subsequently what is useful for us and the operators would then go on to be very useful for the users as well, who are like the public and the commuters. So there won't be like much service disruptions, and hopefully there will be a smoother ride always. Yeah.
I will be screening this video shortly. Sorry, you'll be screening it.
Yes, okay. Before I get to that, okay, students, please feel free to just give a shout out, like not only chat posting your questions on the chat box. Feel free to show yourself and ask any questions you want so that we can, see your face. Because I think none of them is like sharing their cameras at all for now. Okay, so let's just take a minute and we share the video right now, yeah?
Hi, so I heard that you want to learn a little bit more about REAMS, so let me share with you. So back in 2008, LTA first announced a new rail financing framework under the Land Transport Master Plan to ensure more timely investments in capacity expansion, replacement, and upgrading of the assets. In 2011, this came into effect for Downtown Line, and subsequently by 2018, LTA had become the asset owners for operating assets for the rest of the remaining lines. This led to certain challenges faced by both LTA and the PTOs in the management of our assets. For LTA, the challenge of optimizing assets in a cost-effective and reliable manner arose. Coupled with the Land Transport Master Plan imperative to deliver high reliability whilst ensuring costs and investments are sustainable, LTA sought to adopt strategic opportunities for digitalization and the use of data in asset management and maintenance.
Everyone, thank you for attending this meeting. Let me begin. Imagine this, a real enterprise asset management system, or in other words REAMS, a digital and predictive asset management system with inbuilt performance management, resource management, renewal planning, and maintenance management capabilities, coupled with data analytics and machine learning algorithms. This system will serve as a common platform to provide full visibility of assets and performance behavior, as well as predict outcomes related to life cycle costs, health, and provide smart maintenance for LTA assets, bringing us closer to our goal of achieving transport network reliability in an effective manner. We would be able to more effectively monitor, maintain, and manage our assets. To sustain high network reliability, REAMS can help provide reliability trends based on historical data, analyze failure drivers, and predict asset health to move towards more effective asset management and maintenance.
Functionalities within REAMS, such as Asset Condition Health Analytics, will provide advanced alerts of potential failures to the operations and maintenance teams. The teams can then withdraw trains with predicted failures to prevent potential service delay by sending them for maintenance. REAMS can also provide trend analysis of train reliability, as well as help to identify failure drivers to adjust maintenance interval based on current reliability data. With these functionalities, we can shift away from time-based maintenance to condition-based maintenance strategy. This could improve maintenance efficiency while also ensuring that reliability targets are met.
From an asset management perspective, REAMS houses many optimization models which help to provide additional data-based insights. These insights help us to balance considerations like performance, cost, and reliability when we make our asset decisions. Our work also frequently involves lifecycle costing analysis for the assets that we manage. REAMS is a useful tool that can help us to more effectively visualize the LCC as it integrates projected, modeled, and actual O&M data. This data will be useful in optimizing the LCC of our assets.
Better advice for these data analysis, and what are the parameters that we look into, and what are the systems that can be predicted, and all these are quite new to us, and with LTA effort doing all these expertise, be able to learn from them and as well as collaborate with these subject matter experts from Siemens and as well as SE.
Rail Enterprise Asset Management System, transforming and digitalizing
The rail asset management system
to bring you transport network reliability.
Okay, that's a very insightful video from LT. Thank you, Sabrina, for sharing that with us. Just by looking at that, I guess one way to look at it is a different aspect of the work of an engineer. I mean, as I was growing, I'm still growing, but back then when I was younger, I imagine an engineer is someone who gets his hand dirty, the ones that are just on site all the time. But now, what I'm seeing in the video is just lots of laptops and all that. So that's the shift in the work of engineers right now, and it's very evident. In fact, that's RIMS actually one of the future projects that's coming up, right?
Yeah,
So
correct.
there's for our friends who wants to pursue something engineering. So you know there's this aspect that you can go to, and so for you to consider picking up those skills that you want to be in it. Okay, let's go with let's go to our Q&A session. So this way we can go live, and feel free to on. We encourage you to on your camera, and if you wanna switch on, turn on your mic and speak directly to ask your questions, you may do so. While we get to that, I guess I'm gonna ask this question that's asked by Dini Razin. So Dini said that some countries are able to transport their to operate their public transport for 24 hours. So New York and London to promote a car light city and to encourage more people to use trains and buses. Do you think we are able to do that? Yep. Can we do that? Are we really working towards that?
Not that off. Because what I understand is that they still do need some engineering hours to perform their maintenance. And also because right now in the current state, Singapore is still developing and digging up like new lines to enhance the connectivity and accessibility of public transport. Actually, through these new lines already, this is already a way to encourage Singaporeans to go car light or like to choose public transport rather than driving your own cars. With that being said, I'm not so sure on the engineering side because I'm sure the system still needs to be maintained off peak or like when there's no one riding the train. So maybe Maddie can take this part lah. Yeah.
I think just to also add, I think maybe Singapore may not be ready, but I think there are options, like what we are doing. I think for every line we have the ECLO, early closure, late opening. So that is to give more time for engineering work and all that. But in terms of maybe like what Dini had mentioned, London or even in some places in Germany, their system is slightly different. They have parallel lines and they are able to shut down a line for X number of days just to maintain because they have an alternative line running. So I think for Singapore, we may not have that at this moment. But maybe in the future, we may have some parallel lines running around. But I think in terms of cost, maybe it's too costly to maintain that kind of system. Yeah.
Okay, so we another question just came in again. So you guys ever have like this constant fear that a small miscalculation can affect the lives of users as an engineer? If so, how do you overcome them? So I guess it's a challenge question. By Muhammad Hardy. Okay, I'll repeat the question again. Do you have ever any this fear that when you miscalculate something? I mean, engineering, I guess you deal with a lot of numbers and making sure certain numbers are accurate. So a slight miscalculation can cause can trigger something else that will happen out of it. So do you have that feel that making that mistake, that slight mistake, and the impact on yourself and the other and other users lah, and or maybe if you have experienced something like that before and how you actually overcome it?
Yeah, I think this question about constant fear of miscalculation, I think definitely, I think if in terms of engineering, all these are very important, crucial. So that's why it is to ensure that all these are marked accurately. I think there's always a team for critical equipments, critical decision. It's not only you, but then there's a team. So there's always someone to double check on work. I think that even for now, they're even making use of software to ensure all these are consistent, as well as there's no error. I think there's no room for even to have an error. Yeah, I think of course there's a risk of fear, especially if you keep on miscalculating. Okay, fear of you losing your job.
That'll be a problem if you always miscalculate, right? You really have to love mathematics for you to be able to tahan in this job. Like
I also I also believe that everything is like, you don't really have to manually calculate for now. Like most of the time now, everything is computerized and it checks on within the system. And so as well, on top of that, you also have levels of approvers at the same time, right? So it kind of like checking at the same time, and then but also ensuring that everything is correct before that thing is actually done. Right? Sabrina, what do you think?
Yeah, correct. I think just to add on also, there are some processes in place such as like doing your testing. So I think the testing are also carried out in like different releases. This is to ensure that even though you are testing something in one phase, in the next phase you make sure that it's still properly performing as what you envisage it to be lah. So I think these processes are in place to ensure that hopefully no mistakes happen. And as Muladi said, also there are like simulation. I think they have built like some simulation centers to ensure, to ensure that this does not happen, or at least minimize this kind of incidences.
Right.
Again, just on that question alone and on the response that I'm hearing, all I'm hearing is actually there need to be somebody to actually do that software, for example, to make the life of engineers easy. So again, there's job opportunities. We're talking about job opportunities there, and different pathways that one can actually explore to be in this line itself, in this industry. And speaking of like upgrading yourself and learning something new, I'll just track back a bit, and a question by Timizi. So, and especially he mentioned LTA, so Sabrina, wait for it. So he asked, can one pursue part-time masters while working in LTA? And if yes, when is the best time to pursue the masters? And for example, if work in LTA for 1 or 2 years to gain experience firsthand and then pursue masters, or get a masters first and then join LTA. So I don't know, what would you advise him?
From what I understand, LTA actually offers their employees to pursue their masters. I think after 2 years of working, and when you get like a certain grade in your performance, so you can then pursue your part-time masters. And I think this is also it can be partly sponsored, if I'm not wrong. So I think it's good that you get some experience first in the field, and then you get your masters after it, just to like kind of like ensure that this is what you want to do in the field. And also just note that the masters that you take after you join LTA, it should be like related to your field as well.
Yeah, that's important. Very important.
I kind of like, I mean, this happened to me personally as well, that before I move on for further education, I actually get some experience, and 10 years in fact, before I move from one qualification to the other. And that experience actually helps you a lot when you're studying later. I mean, certain things that you apply, and working life actually shapes you to respect deadline. I would say that's the most important thing for me. And then when you go to school, it's like, okay, when this have to be submitted in group work, okay, you better do it. And because if you don't, then you have this list of backlogs for you like coming in. There was a question. Wait, let me see something about okay, this question both of you can answer, or and from your experience, okay, this is not in the chat actually. Yeah, I accepted it from the registration form. So from your experience, how do you apply what you have learned in university into the transport industry? Theory versus practical. Muladi, what do you think?
How do you apply whatever you study? Okay. Remember I mentioned earlier, right? I take again Sabrina as an example. You may be studying a mechanical engineer, but then you may not end up doing a mechanical work. You may not end up doing mechanical calculations. So it depends on what you want to apply. Actually, it depends on you. What do you want to apply from what you study? You may be studying a certain module as you take your masters or even your degree. That certain module. Maybe example. What can I think of? Maybe programming and all that. You can use it as part of your work. You may not be a programmer, but then you can make use of the module that you learn to apply it, to make it easier, to make it to introduce to your colleagues at work. So that is how you actually make use of what you have learned in school or in anywhere. Even you can also actually now you can also take online courses, just to remain relevant. If you think that maybe now cybersecurity is something that is very hot in the market and you want to get involved, you may not even be doing a cybersecurity work, but then part of your job, maybe you need that skill set so that you can apply it in your current job. So it's all about how you want to apply what you learn. It's not what you learn and then you want to apply. It's how you want to make use of your skill to apply to make your work easier or even to gain more knowledge.
Right. I'm going to take it down a few notch lower. I mean, this is to cater more for our audience here who are from actually secondary school. So probably certain things that we are hearing is like, what is this? Okay, let's not scare them any further. But generally, what I'm trying to say is whatever that you learn in school right now, even the basic subjects of English, math, science, and anything that your science and your accounts, economics, or whatever, you think it's not relevant to you at this point of time, but one day it will come back to you and it will become relevant. So what Muladi is trying to say is make everything count, make everything you learn count, because it will somehow come back and you will need to use those skills, those theories that you learn to apply to whatever work that you're doing later, be it in engineering or not. And speaking of getting to university and whether getting experience is more important and whatnot, speaking of experience, actually, I have another question from Sharul from he asked, how do I broaden my networking without having enough working experience? So I'm guessing, okay, he's actually a student in SIT. And yeah, students usually, I receive this question. It's a common question from tertiary students whereby they want to get industry experience or practices, but then they do not know who to approach or they don't know where to get it from. And except for the school, the internship that school send them to lah. But beyond that, there's this hunger for more to get more experience. So which channel can they go to from your experience? I mean, like how do you get started and who do you rub shoulders with to get where you are?
Approach Mendaki.
Yes, that's number one, of course. Yes.
Yeah. I think Mendaki has good program. I think it's good. Mendaki is trying to reach out to. I think Mendaki is able to see that our students, they need to be guided. I think this is where I think Mendaki had done a good job. But then for you yourself as a student, I think I'm sure there are a lot of platforms that you can make of, a lot of social platforms I think one of the good professional platform that you can make use of is LinkedIn. I think from there, actually, you can actually, because LinkedIn does not have any barrier. Example, if you think that you want to get to know someone in rail industry, okay, you can always search for anyone, and then you can actually connect to them. I'm sure once you get connected, you can ask that particular person, or you can even start to grow your network from there. So I think this is one of the ways to look at it. You may not have people you know of that maybe you work at a certain industry. I think LinkedIn is one good platform.
Or perhaps maybe you can consider attending more courses that you have interest in, and as you attend all these kind of courses, you sort of like get involved with everybody in the course, and as well with our speakers, that possibly the speakers that's involved in those courses. And then when you start to ask questions, and it could lead also to further referrals to other people within the network. So that's typically a typical way of how you actually sort of like expand your network around. So the more questions you ask, normally, if you're unsure of things, it kind of like lead you to a certain direction that you perhaps may see later on, as it will benefit you in the future. It also encourages all these networks to be expanded within your circle of network that you have already have currently, basically. So yeah, basically, okay, we have another question. Yeah, that's what exactly. Sri Nur Asma Ul Husna, sorry. So students can also get lecturers and care person to recommend them to. That's definitely, yeah, one of the direct and most efficient way to go through and expand your networks around. Definitely that. Yep. The best person, in fact, is your lecturer. Yes, definitely.
So I guess since we are if you're a student that means just studying and you want to get some experience in some industry experience, yes, do approach your lecturers first. The school, they should be able to lead you to some of the engineering companies that they are partnering with currently. But of course, like Mulyadi mentioned earlier, thank you for highlighting Mulyadi there. We do have our networking sessions with professionals and even students, tertiary students, where we connect you with professionals within our community, and that's where you get to interact with them. Even platforms like this, our next up seminar or our push-off series, that's where you get to meet professionals from a diverse background and industries, and for you to actually find out more about the work and possibly link you up to future opportunities.
So essentially, you can follow us on social media. We upload a lot of networking events that everyone is open to everyone, that you can always come and join us to expand your network. Yep.
Maybe we can take one more question from the audience. If there's anybody, any last questions that you want to ask the speakers? Maybe what is their LinkedIn account?
Okay, let's see. You guys can just shout out. You don't have to type, okay? So just shout out, unmute yourself, and we can get your questions from there. Feel free to do that.
Yeah, I think this is one way to also be, be brave to ask questions.
Yes.
This is where your networking begins also, actually.
Yes, you need to show yourself. Switch on your camera, and we'll see you, and then your questions can be relevant to everybody else or benefit everybody. So please feel free to shout out the question.
Okay. There you go. Thank you, Shafiq. Shafiq asks, are there any research developments currently in the transportation industry? Ooh, an academic question.
I believe there's a lot of research developments, right? For both of your organization, I believe. Mulyadi, do you have a lot of research developments?
Yeah, I think yes, definitely have. We have also, yes, actually. I think it's just I think these research developments are actually it may not be just how to make the train move faster, and that kind of research development. But then it's how to make, how to improve work, how to be more productive in work. I think there are some of these research developments that is ongoing. I think even in LTA themselves.
All the various aspects within the industry itself, right? Doesn't have to necessarily be a particular thing. Sabrina, what do you think?
Yeah, definitely there's a lot of research developments ongoing. I think LTA also work very closely with like GovTech or like A-Star, which are like research agencies, to further research on I don't know, many different projects lah. So yeah, you can explore the areas also if you're interested.
So yes, so there are, I mean, research is ongoing, I guess, across the board. There's always something that's new that's coming out, and there's people actually finding more information how they can improve processes or systems, for example. So yes, Shafiq, to answer your question, yes, there are. What is it exactly? Maybe at this point in time it's embargoed information, so maybe that's why you see the sheepish smile in Sabrina. I cannot say this, if not I get fired. So, so yes, there are. We are always on constant development to improve the processes. Everyone, in fact. All right. So I guess that would be the last question that we will take for the Q&A segment. And just to sum up whatever that was shared earlier and throughout the session, I picked out 3 things. So one, there are definitely plenty actually for job opportunities that's available in this sector itself, and there are more coming. So you just have to look out for it. And number 2 is for you to consistently upgrade yourself and your skills for, I don't know, for better, to get better salary, or to even venture into something new. And of course, the last one is to turn your passion, your job into a passion, and from your passion it will spark into more opportunities for yourself. So perhaps I will give the next 2 minutes for both speakers to give your closing remarks or any last things that you want to say before we wrap things up. We'll start with Mulyadi.
Any advice to the students, especially?
Okay, I think as students, I think it's important for you to always want to be curious and always I think other than asking, actually you can also do your research. Right? If you want to know certain things, you always can do your own research before, and at the same time, I think to network yourself. I think this is important. You may not be able to do what you always want to do. You may not be able to do so many things at one time, but then you are always free to do actually what you always want to learn. I think that one is the most important thing. Yeah. At the end of it, you may also not get your dream job, because dream job are supposed to be your dream. There's no such thing as a dream job.
And Sabrina.
I guess my closing statement would just be to always be brave and to believe in yourself. When you start believing in yourself, I guess you can already take many steps forward, and to always make small progresses every day, so that you don't like be angry at yourself like 10 years later. You won't be like upset that, oh, why didn't like the past 10 year me say like, well, don't do this, So just like I guess just believe in yourself and go where your interest puts you in. And as Mulyadi said, just like network as much as possible to get to have a better understanding if that's what you really want to do as well. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sabrina and Mulyadi, for your sharing, bringing to us this afternoon. Okay, before the rest of you scramble off, there are 2 things that's going to happen. One, we're going to take a group photo. So at this point in time, we need you to switch on your camera, and so that we can see your lovely faces for a group photo. And the next part is we will need you to do a quick survey. So I will scan a QR. We will screen a QR code, and you can just scan that code for you to do that survey later. But for now, let's take the group shot first, shall we?
Okay. Can we have everyone to switch on your video, please?
Dini's ready in the train.
Yeah. Let's see the participants' name. Okay, thank you, Sharul. Thank you, Fair. Is it Alia? Thank you, Fardian. Yes.
Thanks, Azmi. Oh, I see a rose among the thorns. Alia. Ilyasa, is that Ian or Lan? Ian, I guess. Ilyasa, Shahila, Muzakir, if you're there. And a Zoom user.
Yes.
Okay, maybe they are all
Yes.
okay. Oh, there you are. Thank you, Shahila. Sorry, cut on the camera. Okay, no worries. Right. Second, I'm just gonna screenshot this. Give me your best smile. Wait, okay. Ready? 1, 2, and smile. Okay, I'm gonna take one for backup. Let me paste this first. This is a manual process. I need to go for this course. Okay, got it. And one more time, yeah? Ready? And 1, 2, and 3. Okay, thank you so much. So
Great.
we will need you to do a quick survey for us on your thoughts on this program. And do you have the slide, the QR code?
Yeah,
Sarah?
come on. Hang on, hang on. Okay. Oops. Sorry, yeah.
Yep. So you can scan this QR code, and for your feedback matters for us to actually improve our future programs. Tell us whether you like it, be candid with it, and yep, I will drop the link of this as well in the chat. So for those of you who, yep, somebody just asked the same thing. Okay, give me a second. Feedback. There you go. Okay, it's in the link. Sorry, it's in the chat.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It's a quick, I think you can do it in less than 2 minutes. And once you have done so, thank you so much for your time, and we hope to see you in our future engagements. Just for your info, just keep a lookout. There will be our next top seminar on the 30th of next month. So follow us on our social media, and you can get more information from there at Mendaki SG.